thing that you put so much stock in, your imagination, and the idea that it might all be imagination, is actually the one thing that you have to constantly negotiate with and slow down because you overthink everything.
Everything. And overcomplicate. Overcomplicate. Yeah. Too much Mandy, too much Mandy, too much Mandy.
That's your gift, Mandy, is that you have to untangle your own fucking thoughts at every turn.
Every fucking turn. And I overwork it. I mean, Richard Harris, I did a thing with Richard Harris years ago, and I was so excited to be with him. And he said that he was no longer drinking. And I'm sitting in a hotel with him for hours while he's telling me he's no longer drinking. He has a glass of wine in each hand and a cigarette in each hand. And I'm saying, it's so great that you're not drinking anymore. And he says to me in the midst of this, you don't need to work so hard.
Yeah.
And he was trying to give me everything he had to offer, which was just show up. Just shut up and show up.
But what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing, because I relate to you, is that isn't it this fundamental? I don't even want to say it's Jewish, and I don't even want to say it's specifically insecurity, but it's this idea that whatever I'm doing cannot be enough. It cannot be good enough. It cannot be right. It is not correct. Someone else knows how to do it better than me. Who's got the answer? Please give it to me now.
That's right. That's right. Now, clearly, some of the key ones you said is not good enough. So the mantra, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. I would tell this to David Kelly when we were working together, and he wrote it. He would osmosize. But I literally was talking to my image in a window once, just saying, not good enough, good enough, not good enough.
Where does that come from? Who did that
to
you?
That comes from my mother. But I don't blame my mother anymore because she was hurt. She was hurt by her folks.
Good for you.
And, Catherine says, hurt people. My wife has this expression.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Sure.
So, but
doesn't mean the fucking wires were not already crossed. So I do that too. Like my parents were whatever they were, and I turned out to be the mess I am. And then you go through years of well, what did they have that was good? What am I grateful for? What did they give me? What are the gifts? Set aside the horrible things and then forgive them. Yeah, I forgive them, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna fucking get my brain back.
Yeah, but I believe, Mark, that the mess of our lives is the glory of our existence, because it creates the battlefield of our work, of our canvas that we've spent our life trying to humorize, connect to, make alive, turn the darkness into light, into light.
We're the alchemists of depression, the Jewish
people. So you take that away, take the troubles away, and who the fuck am I? In some way, I wouldn't trade. In 1 minute, I'll say, all I want is peace of mind. The other minute, I say, don't take away my troubles.
Yeah, but Mandy, I mean, how old are you? They're not going away. There's no taking away. What are you fucking, I mean, it's like it's a dream. What do you, I mean,
I'm 100, I'm 187, and you're absolutely right.
So we have these conversations with ourselves.
Good skin. I have good skin, but I am 187.
You look great for 187.
Thank you.
But I mean, this is this game we play. So I want to keep my problems. I want to temper them. I want to taper them. I want to keep. I'm going to hold on to some character defects in the language of recovery. So but the truth is that they're not negotiable. How the fuck are they going to go away? You got a brother-in-law who's a monk. I mean, what are his struggles?
Yeah, he's got plenty of struggles. He went in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it is comforting when I'm in the darkest place to hear a voice. And if I can't hear my own memory of that voice, I'll call my doctor up and he'll talk to me for 30 seconds. And he'll remind me that it's because of this that you are able to do what you do. It's because how hard you work. And the other reason I work so hard in just the structure of it is I'm so terrified of going on stage or in front of a camera, in front of a microphone and fucking up. So if I bust my fucking ass, or even if I have the balls to do what Richard Harris says, which is just don't do anything. Just shut the fuck up and show up. Even no matter what I do, if I do whatever I've learned in my life and I've done my best to do it, and then I fuck up, it's not my fault.
Whose fault is it?
Not mine. Not mine. Because I worked my ass off. I did everything I know. I did it well. I did it poorly. And then I fucked up. But I didn't take it for granted.
Right. But this is interesting to me, the Richard Harris thing, because having just come off a shoot and trying to figure out, after talking to people like you and many other actors, about how they approach things. It seems that at some point, that once the work is done, Mandy, that, you of all people seem to have you have to have some belief in your basic talent, correct? No.
I don't. I'm probably the most insecure person I know.
Yeah.
I like playing people that aren't on TV. But I'm probably the most insecure person I know, and I'm comfortable with that at this point in my life. I consider it now one of the gifts that have given me my life.
But don't you drive people crazy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I won't call you and say, I just want to be your friend, Mark, after this interview.
You can.
But yes, I drive people crazy. I drive my children crazy. I drive my wife crazy. One of the tricks of COVID is to get the fuck away from each other every now and then, any way we can. But
has it affected your work, like with in a collaborative environment?
At times, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes to a wonderful degree, and sometimes to a very negative degree. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're so hard on yourself, and in the midst of that tornado of self-doubt and insecurity, it's hard to wrangle that stuff, right? So you probably alienate some people at times.
Well, I remember something that I remember because it's a way of being kind to myself. That James Lapine, who wrote Sunday in the Park with George and directed it, and a good friend, said to my wife years ago about when I'd be thought of as difficult. He said, let me tell you something about Mandy. He's only difficult to himself.
Right.
And yes, other people experience it in different ways, but he's only hard on himself as opposed to other people that are doing it to take advantage of other people. He's just doing it to try to make the work great. And I always hear that echo in my head to know that I'm not doing it to make you look bad or to fuck you over or to hurt someone else. I'm just trying to make the scene live.
Right, I understand that, but the point I'm making from my own experience and is that that guy knows you. That guy, took the time, whether he wanted to or not, to understand how you work. So, but if you enter a situation where that isn't a given, then a lot of people are going to take it personally, and they're going to get hurt, and then you got to go through the whole apology process,
or they should fire me. They should fire me, or I shouldn't be with them if they're not going to have any kind of sensitivity to who I am. I can't change who I am, Mark.
I know, but at what point does it become selfish and maybe a little abusive?
Probably at any point that it affects anyone else that isn't positive.
Okay.
At many points. Yeah. I'm not absolving myself,
right.
Or forgiving myself for it. That's another great thing the teacher said to me. I said, I just can't forgive myself. He said, good. I used to think, somebody said, what's the meaning of Judaism? I would say, well, Rahmanas, compassion, and forgiving yourself. I've given up on forgiving myself because he said to me one day, and I love this. I mean, you buy the teaching you want to buy that feels good, that tastes good. And he said, who are you, a deity? Who are you to forgive yourself? Aren't you a human being? Don't human beings make mistakes?
Isn't it nice when you find the guy that validates the worst parts of your character?
Absolutely, and I pay him handsomely. I don't want to stop that.
Finally I found the guy that justifies the worst fucking thing I do to myself.
He encourages it.
Yeah, I know. It just doesn't get a little exhausting.
But it is exhausting. But I'm exhausting. I exhaust myself. I exhaust others. But
I feel like we've been talking for 9 hours. It's only been an hour.
But I need a guy since that's such a part of my nature to exhaust myself privately, to exhaust myself publicly. If I need someone to say that's okay.
Well, I get that too, but I got a friend that said something to me that took me years to understand. When I'd call him up, a dear friend of mine who I can be honest with and talk about, problems. I'm a recovery guy, so I got, sobriety, but so that he's one of those guys. And when I tell him about all these, these horrible things that I'm going through in my mind, he would ask me like, well, what are you getting out of that? What are you getting out of that? And that's a great question. What am I getting out of that? Like I'm doing it over and over again, and I'm complaining about it. So I must be getting something out of it. What is that? And it just that's a provocative question. It's like, what am I getting out of that? And do I want that anymore? These are choices, right?
Yeah, but if you happen to be a painter or a composer or an actor or a writer, and you choose one day to play someone who is incredibly lighthearted, seems to laugh away the world, seems to brush off every shoulder every second, no matter what it is. And why are you that way? Because you are loaded with agony. And you have found that the way to counteract it is to be this other way. And what becomes the connective universal tissue to the listener is, I have that agony. I know that. But to me, the trick and what I admire and the guy I want to have dinner with is the one who manages it by finding ways to have fun in spite of their nature.
Right. Well, what about love?
What about it?
Well, I mean, what about vulnerability? What about? I mean, I understand agony. I understand the relief of agony. I understand, getting laughs and turning darkness into light. I understand that, but there is a sort of power to being open-hearted without fear.
Yes, may you live long enough, in spite of the love you've just lost, to find a friend. Another human being on earth to just do nothing with, to say nothing with, to just feel comfort from,
right?
To not be able to help them in their pain, but to know that they just want to sit and be lost with you on the couch, on the chair, in the car, and that to me is the definition of love. Just comfort and company and being lost together.
Yeah.
And, it is that this fucking thing about sex that we got when we were little and all the stuff about sex and all the energy lost over sex, in energy in terms of what you could have done literally just with that hour,
right.
Trying to calm yourself down, self-medicate. Oh my God. It's just insane. The whole world over this kind of stuff. Genius people, who could solve the world's problems politically, scientifically, are ostracized because they needed to calm themselves down by masturbating.
Yeah.
Who doesn't masturbate?
Yeah, no, I'm a proud. I was a daily masturbator for years, and I've just taken a break because I'm getting older. I tried to cut it down to twice a week if I can. But it's important. I've always felt that's it's built in, it's relieving, and it's a gift. It's one of the many gifts that Hashem has given.
Hashem gift, and it is great at times. But is it
and sad at times?
Is it the defining factor? Is it the definition of love? No,
it's onanism. What somebody said, a friend of mine said to me, he said, if you masturbate a lot, like daily, your primary sexual partner is you.
Yeah. Did you read this book, Sapiens?
Which one?
Sapiens.
No.
So it's this 500-800 page book. I don't know what it is.
Now I know I'll never read it.
By a great historian who does all this, it goes billions of years.
Did you read it?
Yes, into the formation of mankind and stuff. And then I'm reading this thing because I really want to see what's happening. And he takes it into the present. He's going all through the timetable of existence and how sapiens came to be what they are and what they've done. And then the last 10 chapters virtually, and this guy is an avowed atheist, by the way. Yeah. But the last 10 chapters really are saying, in my humble opinion, and I'm not the wisest, greatest reader in the world, but is that you cannot find happiness. And I hated that book from those last 10 chapters. And I really read that book and loved a lot of it. But I hated that you make that kind of effort and garner your audience and you have a successful book. But that's what you're offering us at the end, that all of us who are looking for peace and happiness, you're going to say in your, huge mind that that's a wasted goal. Fuck you.
See, and then he proves his point. See what he did to you? Look what he did to you. He's correct.